Today, I am proper excited to be making this video because I am about to go and buy what is potentially the cheapest Harley-Davidson for sale in the entire UK. I don't particularly know very much about the bike. I don't even know if it's going to shake out to be that good of a deal, but it is the cheapest one that I can find for sale anywhere. Now, I know I shouldn't be buying more bikes right now because I'm still pretty full up in here and I haven't sold the Gladius yet, but when somebody offers you a cheap Harley-Davidson, you have to go and at least entertain the option. So I'll say no more, it's time to jump in the van and head to Cardiff. And just like that, I am back from Cardiff. And if you can tell by the t-shirt, I bought the bike. And I got it cheaper than I originally planned to, but it's a lot worse than I originally thought it was. Let me show you. This is the UK's cheapest Harley-Davidson. It is pretty damn filthy all over, as you would expect. Things are loosely attached and not even connected. Speaking of not connected, the shocks are on the floor. Things are corroded and in need of a good scrub up, and some things are in need of replacing or repainting or re-chroming altogether. But the tires are good. Now, I am still really excited by this bike, but I am wondering if I made a bit of a mistake or took maybe too much of a gamble, because obviously it's a Harley, so it's still fairly expensive, especially given the state of it, but it's a Harley. I finally got a Harley on the channel. Now, it did come with some other bits. You may have noticed the exhaust isn't on the bike, but I have got the exhaust. It's down here. It's actually a Vance & Hines. I think they're short shots, so that's a bonus. Got a spare set of handlebars. I think they're wider bars than the ones that are on there, so bonus. Spare chain guard in case I want to go chrome rather than the scabby black one that's on there. Pillion, seat, rest, backrest thing, maybe. A replacement swing arm, whether that's the right one, I am not sure. Tail light, because there's not currently one on there. And a set of Burley Slammer shocks for the rear of the bike. These things, you know, if you buy these new, they're about 230, 240 quid, so there's some value in them as well. So all around, I think I got a relatively good deal so far, as long as the bike runs, which I currently don't know if it does, hence why I managed to get the bike cheaper than what I'd originally agreed to, because I'll tell you the price later on and then we can work out whether this really was a good deal. But right now I can't get it to start, or I can't really get it to do much of anything because the battery is completely flat, hence why this is such a big gamble. I know nothing about it. Now, I have taken the old battery off because when I was putting a jump pack on the old battery, it didn't really want to do much because the old battery was stone dead and it would basically just make the lights flash on the bike. And I read online, if the battery is bad, even if you put a jump pack on it, it can trigger like an immobilizer issue with the key fob, which I have got down here. So I got a new battery overnighted, so we're going to put that on and see if that fixes the problem. If it doesn't, I'm in a world of hurt. So there's obviously a bunch of cables here that need to go on the battery. And of course the new battery is wrong. The terminals should be positive this side, negative this side, so that it slots in this way and buttons up nice. But of course I got the wrong one, so I've had to do a bit of tomfoolery, but we got power. And worryingly, with the key in the ignition, I'm still getting that red light, which should be gone because this should be kicking in. And when we turn it on, it flashes, which is not a good sign. And then ignition on, we get the warning lights. And of course, nothing from the starter. Okay, a little bit of a fast forward. I made a rookie mistake with the immobilizer. So I decided to change the battery on the immobilizer for a brand new fresh one, or the key fob, I mean the battery, just to make sure there was no issues. And it seems I put the battery in upside down. So when I was trying or racking my brain why this wouldn't recognize the key fob, it's because there was no power to the key fob at all. Instead of messing around with my bit of fandangling, I've put the old battery back in with the jump pack on it. So we have some power. Key fob is in position, flashy light gone, pull the clutch and press the starter and she turns over. That is really, really good news because it means the engine is not stuck, it's not seized. I know that it is somewhat working. And that is such an absolute relief because I thought I was going to end up having to go down a diagnostics rabbit hole or find a specialist or something, as online suggested, to sort out that key fob, and now I don't. Success! Now, if I have any hope of wanting to hear this run, I need to put that fuel pump back in the fuel tank, make sure that's all sealed in and bolted in, get some fuel in it and put the exhaust on because it's probably not a good idea to keep turning it over or even trying to run it with the exhaust off. Okay, turns out I can't put the fuel pump back in the tank right now because I don't have the screws for it. They weren't in the bottom of the tank and they're not in the fuel pump. So that's a bust for a minute. Exhaust, I need to make sure I got all the nuts and bolts and things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back to tomorrow when hopefully I have most of these things and we can have a look at actually getting this bike started and maybe start cleaning it up a bit. Okay, so it turns out getting the nuts and bolts I need for this thing are not as easy as I thought. I didn't realize, or I did realize, but I didn't even think about it at the time. Harley-Davidson's, all the nuts and bolts and everything are imperial, not metric. So they're not something that's as easy to get hold of unless you know exactly what sizes you're looking for. So for example, with the tank, they are a 1024 UNC and they need to be 7/8 of an inch. And then those screws need to be a pan head with a seal washer. You can get the exact ones from Harley-Davidson. I got the part number and everything, but you can't really get them in any quick time frame because they're either coming from the States or Europe, because I don't have a local Harley-Davidson dealership because unfortunately Swansea Harley is gone. Luckily, I have managed to order some that are the right size and thread whatever, and they are coming tomorrow morning. So until I've got those, I can't put the fuel pump on. I'm not even sure, maybe that would work in a bucket of petrol just to give it a start. I'm not really sure, so we're not going to mess around with that too much for a minute. So my next idea was to try putting the exhaust on, and there's a problem there too. When I was putting the front one in to see how it fits, I realized we've got a broken exhaust stud. There is a little bit left sticking out, so hopefully I can try and extract that stud, but that is really not ideal. Sometimes I really regret my decisions of buying really cheap things, but I'm still excited the fact I've even got a Harley in the workshop, so we'll persevere and one way or another I will get through it. So I'm going to go back to basics with this because I want to hear this thing fire up at least a little bit. Let me show you what I'm going to do. I have loosely placed the exhausts in place just to maybe deaden the noise a little bit. Taking the airbox off, we're going to go with some easy start in classic Sam's Auto Assortium fashion. Is this going to be one of my smartest ideas? Probably not, but then again, buying this bike clearly wasn't one of my smartest ideas. So let's give it a go anyway. Let's see if we can get it to run at all. Okay, so get the ignition on. Not too much. Oh, let's try it. Okay, so a bit of coaxing with easy start and it will fire up. So that's positive. I'm pretty confident that once I can actually get the fuel pump back in the fuel tank and put that on correctly, I think it will run. Obviously the exhaust is going to need more looking at because that just kind of fell off there. There's no really excusing that. That was just on a bit loose, but yeah, it works. Now obviously to put the exhaust back on, I'm going to need to get that broken stud out and replace it with an actual stud. Then there's the question of the balance pipe or crossover pipe. I don't know whether it's supposed to go on this side of the sprocket cover or whether it goes inside the sprocket cover, but that would mean that this brake, part of the brake mechanism, would need to run through the middle of there because it doesn't really, it just crashes into it. So I need to do a bit of investigating there. For now, let's put the airbox back together and clean up the airbox cover. So it's just 3 long Torx bolts back in here to put the actual air filter back on, and then 2 Allen bolts for the actual housing. Okay, so just loosely reassembled the tank and the seat, or well, I've just put them back in place because there's really not much else I can do right now because it is the middle of a Saturday afternoon. There's nowhere open for me to get nuts and bolts, especially Imperial ones, so I can't really go, well, I haven't really got many more parts to put on it anyway. Now I know there's plenty of cleaning work for me to do on it, and there's plenty of parts that I need to strip off and rub them back and either get them ready to send somewhere to get painted, or there's a few bits I can probably paint myself. But I'm not going to do any of that just yet because obviously I want to make sure this bike runs properly, and to make sure it runs properly I need the screws to put that fuel pump back in the tank, and I need to sort that exhaust out. Now, to sort the exhaust out, I'm going to need that broken stud out. I did have a go briefly at doing it myself earlier with a bit of fire and nut extractor, but my nut extractor is just too big to grip what's left of the stud. So one of my mates is going to take that out in the week for me. And once that's done, the exhaust can go back on, and I also need to source some bolts and the sprocket cover so that I can put the crossover pipe or balance pipe on with the exhaust, and then we can find out if it runs properly. But at the very earliest, that's going to be next week. So at this point, you are probably wondering what price I paid for all of this Sportster and what makes it the cheapest Harley-Davidson possibly in the UK. So I paid just £1,000 for this Sportster, which does sound like quite a lot considering it's in a pretty rough condition, but it's a Harley-Davidson. You cannot find, or if you look online, you will not find another one for sale that cheap. Now, originally the guy did want like £2,000 for it, and then the price went down a bit and then a bit more. I was going to pick it up at 1,200 quid, but he couldn't prove that it runs, so that's why I got it for £1,000. And it's obviously going to need a lot of work, but it has only got 10,000 miles on it. I'm pretty confident it will run, and once it's tidied up, considerably more than what it is at the minute, you're talking sort of £2,500 to £3,000, somewhere in that sort of ballpark. But it's going to take a lot of time and money to get there. But this unloved little 883 Sportster is finally going to get some love and attention that it needs and get it back on the road, which is the most important thing. Now, I'm under no illusions that it's not going to be a lot of work, because it is going to be a huge amount of work. But this is the kind of bike that I really like, and I'm going to be quite passionate about it, and I'm going to be really keen to just get it done. I wasn't really planning on buying anything at all this week, but there was a kind of time limit on this bike, so it was now or never. And it's not very often you get the chance to buy a Harley at £1,000. It doesn't come round very often. And I think at £1,000, it is a pretty safe investment, because the bike is a 2009, despite it looking a bit older. I mean, Sportsters have generally looked the same since like the 80s. It has only got 10,000 miles on it. Pretty sure it runs. I mean, we've heard it sort of start. It's going to need a little bit of work to ride and go back on the road, but it even has the logbook. So, you know, I think I'm safe. So I don't really think there's much left for me to say about this bike other than I'm really excited for this project. I now need to go away and make a list of jobs I need to do on it to add to my list of other jobs that I gotta do, and a list of parts that I'm gonna need to get. Not that there's that many parts to actually get, it's more nuts and bolts than anything. So if you're as excited for this project as I am, then make sure you hit that thumbs up button and make sure you are subscribed to this channel so that you don't miss anything that is to come on this UK's cheapest Harley project. And if you think I got a good deal on this bike, then let me know in the comments. Or if you think I paid too much for this bike or I've bitten off more than I can chew, then make sure you let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can prove you wrong. But either way, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you're excited for this project. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.